When taking psychological meds, it's hard to know if you're experiencing a side effect or not. It's not like, uh-oh, I'm experiencing a side effect right now. It's more like, oh, I'm having headaches lately, every day. I must have a brain tumor, or I'm feeling suicidal. I guess this is just what my life has come to. So you keep taking the meds and keep experiencing side effects. But SSRIs and psych meds will have you in the suicide crisis hospital pretty quick. You don't necessarily connect the negative effect to the medication. If you're taking those meds, you're not exactly an expert on how you're supposed to feel. So a lot of people experience side effects and they don't even realize it. Plus, I had short-term memory problems, so I'd take a pill and then forget I took it and take another one. Or I didn't take one and I thought I did, so I don't take one. Who knows how many pills I was actually taking. In 2021, I was working at a state park and I helped run the greenhouse and garden area. It seemed like the perfect situation for me, but little did I know how bad things could get. This was all a big misunderstanding. This one day I was losing it. The dark racing thoughts were at their worst. I couldn't stop thinking of ways to end myself. One way to the next way, playing over and over in my mind. No voices, just self-hating thoughts. This was 17 years of suffering coming down on me at this moment. It wasn't really about those people. It was a culmination of all those years, and this situation triggered something in me. Every day at this job was hell because it seemed like everyone was out for revenge against me. And I was definitely experiencing side effects from the meds at this time. I had been thinking crazy thoughts for a while before this, but I was still taking the meds. I had a mental breakdown and left work without telling anyone. I went home and found my mom and spilled everything in my mind to her. I was inconsolably crying and blubbering. I remember saying, I need help right now or I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself. She got on the phone with somebody and then we were off to Rolling Hills Hospital in Franklin, Tennessee. After I got signed in and the evaluation was done, I remember standing by the wall waiting for them to finish my paperwork. So I start off by describing the place. There's a bunch of rooms and a couple of hallways. From where I stood, I could see through the big window in one of the activity rooms. There was a boy and a girl sitting in that room watching an anime cartoon on the TV. They both appeared to be a good bit younger than me, maybe 18 years old. I was 34 at the time. There was also a younger looking guy sitting in the hallway talking on the phone. As I stood there waiting, I noticed one of the other patients cautiously inching towards me. He was a large, older man, about 50 years old, with brown hair, a potbelly, and glasses. I had no idea what to expect. Hey, how's it going? He calmly said to me as he kept a safe distance. I had lost a lot of weight over the previous few weeks, and I'm sure I looked like an unkempt homeless drug addict. My beard was grown out, long and scruffy. I know I looked exhausted and on guard. I've been better, I replied. I really didn't want this guy to talk to me. Regardless, he invited me into one of the surrounding activity rooms to sit with him and his buddy. The two of them had met a day or two before I got there, and they had enough in common to form a bond. The other guy was in his early 20s, a skinny kid with brown hair who liked to talk a lot, which is probably why the two got along. Similar personalities with similar senses of humor, and the more I listened to them talk, the more I realized how similar they were to me as well. They would laugh and talk about death like it was no big deal, and I was always doing that. I couldn't relate to normal people because of my morbid sense of humor. Then I talk about those guys' stories and why they were there and how their stories affected me. Those guys I refer to as Jeff and Tony in the book to hide their identity. I don't know their last name anyways. We each had to talk about ourselves one at a time. We had group discussions about morality and reasons to live, and sometimes we played a game as a group. My first group meeting, I sat quietly, looking at the floor until I had to speak. A lot of the other people in the group, however, were cracking jokes and laughing together. Everyone was in the same boat, so everyone was rooting for everyone else. Also, the people that arrived before me already had their medications adjusted, so everyone was getting along great. It made me feel good, but I was ready to have my medicine adjusted too. Over the next few days, I'd watch as people slowly started to come out of their shell due to the medication and the camaraderie. A very sad girl with short brown hair and glasses sat in the corner of the room holding a teddy bear with a few other girls at the meeting. She would just cry and hug her teddy bear and stare at the floor. I had no idea what her story was because she never spoke. Not even when it was her turn to speak. The group leader would just politely skip her because she would just stare at the floor with tears dripping down her face. I felt bad for her. She was really having a hard time. I'll call her Amber. We'll come back to her in a minute. We all had to fill out questionnaires with questions such as, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? Do you want to hurt yourself or anyone else? Have you been hallucinating? Can you name 3 things you're grateful for? And other questions like that. Throughout each day, we would also have solo meetings one-on-one with a doctor or a therapist. The doctor would change our prescription based on his evaluation, and the therapist would monitor our progress and report back to the doctor. Then, if necessary, the doctor would adjust the medication again, and he'd just keep adjusting it until he figured out exactly what we each individually needed to take. That was great for me because normally I'd have to wait until my next doctor's appointment to adjust my meds, and that could take weeks or even a month. At Rolling Hills, I could adjust my meds multiple times each week to get it right. There were moments in my regular life when I would recognize that I could say something funny or relate to someone, but I didn't have the confidence to open up my mouth and say it. I was so used to people looking at me like I'm crazy or stupid that I'd just rather not draw attention to myself. That's why I'd never talk to anyone at work. It's like I had added trauma from simply talking and expressing myself. At Rolling Hills, however, people actually looked forward to hearing what I had to say. I had confidence to express myself because I knew I was surrounded by people who had been forced to think about life in a different way than normal people. So I made my first joke, and everyone in the group, guys and girls, laughed out loud. I don't remember the context of the joke, but it was a good one. "Seaver has arrived!" I heard Jeff's voice ascend over the laughter. It made me feel good and accepted. That's because I felt mentally safe and confident enough to express myself, which is something I didn't usually feel in my regular life. I could tell that the medicine was making a big difference in how I felt. After the meeting, we went back to the TV room, and Jeff asked me if I was interested in watching a cool TV show about a prodigy female chess player for a change from the gory action that we had been watching. He had seen it before, and he said it was something we could get immersed in to kill some time while we were stuck in the mental hospital. So I said, heck yeah, let's do it. And then I talk about the Queen's Gambit. Amber, the sad girl, was in the room watching with us. After a while, a lot of the guys got bored with the lack of gory action and left the room, leaving me and Jeff and Amber alone to finish the show. Amber wasn't crying or holding her teddy bear anymore. The next group meeting, we did something a little different. There was a giant puzzle in the floor that went all over the room. It wasn't a normal puzzle. Everything was going as usual. The guys were laughing and joking around as we grabbed puzzle pieces and took charge of the group. We were making decent progress on the puzzle, going back and forth across the room as the puzzle grew. Then suddenly, Amber the sad girl comes out of nowhere and pushed right past me with a puzzle piece in each hand. Excitedly, she exclaimed, "These pieces go here! These pieces go here!" She put them in place, and then she grabbed another piece and kept going. I had not heard Amber say a single word the whole time she'd been there. We were witnessing the change in her right before our eyes. She actually almost knocked me over to put that puzzle piece down. I had to readjust my balance to keep standing up. It's like she was saying, "Amber has arrived." I was very happy for her. Jeff, Tony, and I looked at each other like, wow, that was amazing. Now I'm skipping a bunch of stuff. The next day, my 6th day at Rolling Hills, I finally got called into the office to talk to the doctor and see if I was ready to be dismissed. He asked me all the usual questions, going down the checklist. Are you having thoughts of harming yourself or others? How do you feel about the future? Are you experiencing any side effects from your medication? It was determined from this meeting that I was centered and ready to leave. My medicine had been doing great for me for 3 straight days without any side effects. Everything was on track, so now I just had to wait on the mountain of paperwork to be done on the computer so that I would be allowed to make my departure and go home. The doctor told me I'd be getting out after lunch, then he sent me back to the group meeting, which was already in session. In the cafeteria that day, I had a really great conversation with Tony. I was thinking more clearly than I had in 17 years, or I might even say my whole life. I remember we talked about how people see big, strong men like us out in the real world, and they just immediately think, this guy doesn't need any kind of help. Men don't need help. I'm sure he can handle anything. And as a result of that kind of thinking, men with mental health problems are in big trouble in our society. A man that looks like he should be able to succeed but can't because of mental health, those men become misunderstood, homeless, alcoholic, drug-addicted vagrants. After lunch, I got called into the office again to finish the exit procedure paperwork. And as I walked back out of the office, I turned and saw Tony sitting at the desk getting ready to go in the doctor's office. He said he was getting ready to get out too, and we said our goodbyes. I went around and said goodbye to everybody. Then I walked over to the nurse's station, close to where the big walk-in closet was. They let me in to get my personal belongings. Then I, along with an administrator, started down the long hallway through the 7 or 8 locked doors on the way to exit the building. My mom was waiting there at the front desk with a big smile on her face. I was ready to go home.